Hey everybody, I know ended up being a sermon a couple days ago. I was just, I was fed up with every way everything was going on, the fear mongering and stuff, and it hasn't stopped. We have a lot of panic. Yes, we need to listen to our authorities, especially those of the CDC, the Surgeon General, people who know. There's a lot of news reports out there, and they're bringing in all of these people who are supposed to be in the know and have the knowledge, and they don't really know what they're talking about. Okay? But it makes the news, and that's good for them, I guess. As we look at as we look at what's going on today in our world, things just are they're so out of control. And all I could think of when I look at what's going on is the fact that isn't it a wonderful thing that God hasn't left our salvation up to us, because we'd really screw it up. I mean, we have a pandemic right now that is a respiratory illness, and what's the first thing everybody goes and does is buys Walmart out of toilet paper. This has nothing to do with bowel issues. This is a respiratory disorder. But yet we're hoarding toilet paper. It makes no sense. And it makes sense because we are so out of control. And when I was thinking about that, it took me back to a text I preached on the first Sunday of Lent, as the woman anointed Jesus with the nard at Bethany a couple days before his crucifixion. It's from Mark chapter 14, and it begins at verse 3. And while he was at Bethany, the house of Simon the leper, he was reclining at a table, and a woman came with an alabaster flask of ointment of pure nard, very costly. She broke the flask, poured it over his head, and there were some who said to themselves indignantly, "Why was this woman wasting the ointment like that?" Now, we believe that was Judas complaining about that because he was stealing money that was supposed to go to the poor. But Jesus' response is wonderful. Okay? His response is, "She has done what she could. She's anointed my body beforehand for burial. And truly I say to you, wherever the gospel is proclaimed in the whole world, what she has done will be told in memory of her." And we don't know who this woman is. Some believe it's Mary. We do not know. Okay? But we know what her vocation is. And that's important for us today because we all have different vocations. My vocation, of course, is as a pastor, but my vocation is also as a father, is a son, as a husband. My vocation is as a brother, as an uncle. We all have many different vocations, and it's important now we understand what those vocations are, because in a time like this, our vocation is about caring for others. And as Christians, we have been called to care for others. And that doesn't mean going out and hoarding toilet paper, buying the store out of it so we have it for ourselves. No, that means sharing with others, and especially sharing God's love with others. And the wonderful thing about all of this is God didn't leave it all up to us, because we would have screwed it up. Just look at the events of the last couple of weeks. Man, if we were left up to our own salvation, what would we be doing? What would we be hoarding? What would we be buying? What would we be trying to steal from others to make ourselves better in the eyes of God? And there's nothing that can do that. So let's be about the vocation God has given us, and that vocation is being a Christian and being there for others. Because it doesn't matter what vocation we've been called to, and we've all been called to different vocations. It doesn't matter what situation the Lord has put us in. We are in the situation we are in today in this pandemic. And the important thing that we always want to remember is we are set free. We are set free from that enslaving misjudgment that causes us to think we have to do something to save ourselves, that we can earn God's salvation, and it wasn't given us by grace alone. And that, at this time, takes all the pressure off of us and puts it on Christ. So as we put our focus on the gospel, as we live our vocation as a Christian, we wash our hands and we get in there and help others, we can rejoice. Because through all of this, we've been judged, forgiven. We've been given the Christ's righteousness. And God sees us through the eyes of Jesus. And he sees us as his children, forgiven, renewed by the death and resurrection of Jesus. And so we live our vocation as a Christian, living out these days of this pandemic by sharing Christ's love, by showing Christ's love, by being little Christ to others. And that's what we've been called to do. And that's what God has placed us. Don't worry. Don't go buy Walmart out of toilet paper, which you can't do because they don't have any anyway. But share the love of Christ. And be, as Luther says, that little Christ. Be that little Christ for others. Live your vocation as a Christian, helping those in need. Have a blessed day. And please continue to pray for our world. Pray for our country. Pray for wisdom and understanding. And that we all calm down and put our eyes on Jesus and continue to focus on him.